Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Hood's Monday morning rant. So what am I ranting about today? We are having our primary on Tuesday in my state. And so we're electing a new mayor of my town. And I saw a video on my news feed that was done by the local TV channel. And they sat down with the Democrat candidates and they asked them 5 questions that's created, I think, by the League of Women Voters or somebody. And then they videotaped the answers from all the candidates. Now, they had about 7 or 8 Democratic candidates, and they managed to get them all in the same place on the same day and have this event. But there's 4 Republican candidates, and they couldn't get 4 people together on the same day. So they did a video of 2 and a video of 2. These are the questions. How will you address the issues related to housing in our town, in particular affordable housing, gentrification, and zoning? Now, if you're like me, you probably don't know what gentrification means. But what it means is that wealthy people come into an area and they start buying the property up. And they clean it up and they build nicer homes and nicer businesses, and they attract wealthy middle class people into the area and make a lot of money. Well, the problem is that when they do this, they're having to move the poor people who live there. And it's an issue for people when you're moving them and there's no place else for them, no affordable living for them anywhere else. So that is the number one question for my town. The whole town, this is the most important question for the whole town. Number 2, we cannot incarcerate our way out of social problems, crime, violence, drugs, and mental illness, among many others. What is your plan to address these issues? What in the heck are you supposed to say? If you say incarceration, you're out of there. You don't have a chance. You're not going to be voted in. What kind of a question is this? We cannot incarcerate our way out of social problems? Crime is not a social problem. Crime is breaking the law. That's what crime is. Crime is breaking the law. Don't do it. If you're hungry and you need food, I know a gazillion churches that all you have to do is call them on the phone or go knock on the door, and they've got food pantries, they've got clothing, they've got whatever you need. They've got it. You don't need to commit a crime to survive in this town. There are too many government programs. There's too much money that's handed out. Oh my gosh, it is. I don't know how you can solve crime if you don't have incarceration. Because if there's not a bottom line, some people need a bottom line. If there's not a bottom line, they're going to keep on doing it. They are going to keep on committing crime. Violence? What happened to the message of we will not tolerate lawlessness? And when you have a question for the mayor of your town, you can't incarcerate people anymore? I mean, that's bad news for all of us, folks. That's bad news. But there has to be accountability. And the crimes that are happening and the violence and the drugs, that's not mental illness. That's choices. And if you make the choice you're going to live that life, then you're going to live that life incarcerated. Number 3, turning now to the economy. What's your plan to spur economic growth and development in our town, especially the downtown of our town? Especially the downtown of our town? Isn't the mayor supposed to be concerned with every part of my town, north, south, east, and west? Why is it just the downtown area? Well, let me give you a little background. It used to be that the city was one entity and the county that city's in was in another entity. We had our own fire department, our own police department. We managed the county with the taxpayers' money, and it was humming along really good. But the city people, they didn't do a very good job in budgeting their money and spending it and making it a better place to live. And they were on the verge of bankrupt. Well, I can't say they were on the verge of bankrupt, but they were struggling. And so they made a proposition to the county that my city's in. Let's join forces. Now, they use the excuse that if the county was bigger, that more tourism would come into the city. We'd have more hotels, we'd have more restaurants, all of that. And so they voted to do it. They voted to merge the two together. What the county didn't know was the city wasn't paying their bills. They were behind in paying the police. They were behind in paying the fire department. The roads were a wreck. And so it took the money from the taxpayers in the county to fix it all up. And they were doing a very, very good job. I mean, they had finally built up the downtown area. We had what we call 4th Street Live. And people were coming down to the downtown area. They were eating there. They were shopping. They were going to sporting events. They built this big arena for the sporting events. I mean, it was so good to see it coming back. And so about 3 years ago, we had a mob in our city. And they broke out windows and they damaged the city. They burnt anything they could burn. They wrote graffiti all over everything. We had to call in the National Guard. The police were trying to manage the groups. The mayor was begging people to go back home and let's settle this in a reasonable way. Let's let the law take its course. Nope. This mob stayed in the city for, well, it started in the summertime, I think June, and they didn't go back home until it got cold in September, October. They terrified people. And your normal citizen doesn't want to go down there anymore. It's not safe. They wouldn't keep it safe. The mayor that we had would not keep the town safe. In fact, there was people shooting at the National Guard and the police officers, and they were shooting back to defend themselves. And one guy got killed, and they sent that police officer to prison. The one person that puts their life on the line to make sure that we're all safe, that person, you're putting them in jail. The message that you sent out loud and clear to the rest of us is stay away. It's not safe. And there's nobody that's going to do anything about it. There's nobody that's going to make it safe again. So the town is shriveling up and dying. So question number 3. Turning now to the economy, what's your plan to spur economic growth and development in our town, especially the downtown of our town? How dare these people ask such a question? How dare them? None of these people were standing up and saying to the mob, go home. People were too afraid to. I had a friend who they kept marching down her street, and she was hiding in her home at night with all the lights out, everything out, trying to keep her dog quiet so that those people would not target her home and burn it to the ground. She was terrified. Now, do you think that you are going to convince people like her to come back to downtown? I mean, honestly, do you really, really believe that? Because if you do, you are in another world. Number 4, what will you do to help the west side of our town become a more vital part of our town? Well, I live in the South End. I want to know what you're going to do to make the South End a more vital part to the downtown area. I'm sure the people in the North End are saying the same thing in the East End. Why is it just the west part? They asked this question to the mayor of my town, totally ignoring the rest of us. The roads are horrific. I went down the road, the expressway the other day, and I hit a pothole and I thought for sure my tire was going to be gone. The roads are atrocious. When I was driving a school bus, it beat that bus to death. And we're paying a lot of tax dollars for the buses. We move 100,000 students every day all over the county to their school and spend ungodly amounts of money in maintenance and repair of those buses. Fix the roads. Nobody asked about that. Fix the roads. They are horrible. Number 5, the pandemic impacted our town in many ways, not just the public health, but also financially and culturally. Coming out of this difficult time, what is your priority for moving our town forward? Make it safe again. Make it livable again. That's what needs to happen. The damage that was done by the mobs in our downtown has not been repaired sufficiently. There are still buildings that their windows are boarded up. They've got graffiti all over them because when the mobs were going crazy for 6 months, the group that owned the bigger buildings in my town wrote a letter to the mayor and said, if you don't do something about the mobs that are taking over your city and destroying these buildings, we keep coming back and putting the plate glass windows in and they keep coming and breaking them. We're not going to do this forever. If you don't get control of this, you're not going to have a town. We'll be leaving. And so now, here we are, reaping what we sowed. For anybody to ask these questions, like we're just a little town tootling down the road. We don't know why it's in decline. We don't know why this is happening. We don't know why that's happening. What are you going to do about it? Financially and culturally, when you have a mob of people that desecrate a town and they send a message of who they like and who they hate, do you really think that your regular community member is going to say, okay, I'm coming, here I come, I can't wait to get down there? They are right now announcing week after week after week, begging people, please come back to the downtown area. Please come back and enjoy the entertainment and the restaurants and the sporting events. Please come back. No, they're not coming back. I have talked to people who are saying, I will never be back there again. It's not safe for me. I don't feel safe. And I don't feel safe taking my children down there. We're not coming back. I grew up in a time where I hear stories all the time. I did not live in this town. I grew up in a different town. But I hear stories all the time about the places where the kids used to get on the bus and ride into the downtown, and they'd go to the ice cream shops, and they had all these wonderful memories about what downtown was. And now we don't. We've got PTSD. And until somebody recognizes it and does the job that's necessary to convince us beyond the shadow of a doubt that it is safe for us to come there again, we're not coming. It's a sad thing for me to say, but we're not coming. Now, at the bottom of this article, it says, the last sentence says, no excuse voting the 12th, 13th, and 14th. And I thought, what's no excuse voting? You don't have to have an excuse to vote? What does that mean? They're going to let people vote on the 12th, 13th, and 14th and the 17th? They're going to let people vote 3 days, and then Sunday and Monday, that'll give them 2 days to make enough fake votes to get the mayor in they want. The good news is that God is with me. He blesses my steps. He helps me everywhere I go. I'm happy every day. And every Monday I get to rant about my most unpleasant thing, and you guys are there to listen to me. Thank you for watching. Have a great week. Be safe, everybody. See you next Monday.